15 American foods that people in Okinawa refuse to eat. Hello and welcome. It is a pleasure to be with you today. We are going to talk about something very important for our health, especially as we get older. We will look at the foods eaten by the people of Okinawa, a group of islands in Japan. Many people there live to be over 100 years old, and they are often very healthy even in their old age. We will compare their way of eating to the way many of us eat in America. You will be surprised to see the differences. We will talk about 15 specific American foods that you would likely not find on a dinner table in Okinawa. But before we begin, I have a question for you. What is one healthy food that you enjoy eating every day? It could be a fruit, a vegetable, or anything that you feel is good for you. Please leave a comment below and share it with us. I am very interested to read your answers. Now let's talk about the Okinawan way of life. It is not just about the food they eat. They are also very active. They have strong friendships and family connections, and they have a sense of purpose in their lives. These things are all very important for a long and healthy life. But today, we will focus on the food. The traditional Okinawan diet is full of vegetables, especially sweet potatoes, and they also eat a lot of soy foods like tofu. They eat some fish and only a very small amount of meat. Their diet is low in calories but high in nutrients. This means that the food they eat gives their bodies a lot of what they need to stay strong and healthy without a lot of extra things that can cause problems. On the other hand, the standard American diet is often very different. It is often high in processed foods, unhealthy fats, sugar, and salt. These foods can taste good, but they do not always give our bodies the right kind of fuel. Over time, eating a lot of these foods can lead to health problems. So let's look at some of these American foods that are not a part of the Okinawan way of eating. As we go through this list, I want you to think about your own eating habits. You might find that you are eating some of these foods regularly. The goal is not to make you feel bad, but to give you information so you can make choices that are good for your health. Let's begin with our first food, sugary breakfast cereals. Many people in America start their day with a bowl of breakfast cereal. It is quick and easy, and there are so many different kinds to choose from. However, many of these cereals, especially the ones that are colorful and aimed at children, are full of sugar. Some of them can have as much sugar as a candy bar. When you eat a lot of sugar in the morning, it can cause your blood sugar to go up very quickly and then come down just as fast. This can leave you feeling tired and hungry again in a short time. In Okinawa, a traditional breakfast is very different. They might have something like miso soup, which is a soup made from fermented soybeans with some tofu and seaweed. Or they might eat a small portion of steamed rice with some vegetables. This kind of breakfast gives them steady energy that lasts for a long time. It does not cause the big ups and downs in blood sugar that sugary cereals can. If you enjoy eating cereal in the morning, you do not have to give it up completely, but you can make a healthier choice. Look for cereals that are made from whole grains, like oatmeal or shredded wheat, and check the label to see how much sugar is in it. A good rule of thumb is to choose a cereal with less than 5 grams of sugar per serving. You can also add some fresh fruit to your cereal for some natural sweetness, instead of choosing a cereal that is already coated in sugar. Making this one small change in your morning routine can make a big difference in how you feel throughout the day. The second food on our list is processed meats. Processed meats are very common in the American diet. This includes things like bacon, sausage, hot dogs, and deli meats that you might put in a sandwich. These meats have been changed from their natural state to make them last longer or to give them a certain flavor. This is often done by adding a lot of salt and sometimes other chemicals. While these foods are convenient, they are not the best choice for our health. Eating a lot of processed meat has been linked to a number of health problems. The high amount of salt can be bad for our blood pressure, and some of the other things that are added to these meats are not good for our bodies. In Okinawa, people eat very little meat overall. When they do eat meat, it is usually fresh pork, and they eat it in very small amounts. It is often cooked for a long time to remove some of the fat. They do not eat the processed meats that are so popular in America. Most of the protein in their diet comes from fish and from plants like tofu and other soy products. If you eat a lot of processed meat, you might want to think about cutting back. You could try having 1 or 2 days a week where you do not eat any meat at all. Or you could choose fresh, unprocessed meats instead of the packaged kind. For example, Instead of having a sandwich with deli meat, you could have a sandwich with a piece of grilled chicken that you cooked yourself. And when you do eat meat, try to have a small portion, about the size of a deck of cards. By making these changes, you can still enjoy meat, but in a way that is much better for your health. Next, let's talk about sugary drinks. This is a big one. In America, it is very common for people to drink soda, sweetened iced tea, fruit punch, and other drinks that are full of sugar. It is easy to forget that what we drink can have just as much of an impact on our health as what we eat. A single can of soda can have 10 teaspoons of sugar, or even more. That is like eating a big piece of cake, but in a drink. When we drink these sugary beverages, our bodies get a huge amount of sugar all at once. This can be very hard for our bodies to handle. Over time, drinking a lot of sugary drinks can lead to weight gain and other health issues. The people of Okinawa do not drink these kinds of sugary beverages. Their main drink is water. They also drink a lot of tea, especially a type of tea called jasmine tea. Tea is very good for you because it has things in it that can protect your body from damage. And it has no sugar, unless you add it yourself. If you are used to drinking soda or other sweet drinks every day, it can be hard to stop, but you can do it gradually. You could start by replacing one of your sugary drinks each day with a glass of water or a cup of unsweetened tea. You could also try adding a slice of lemon or lime to your water to give it some flavor. If you do this for a while, you will likely find that you do not miss the sugary drinks as much as you thought you would, and your body will thank you for it. The fourth food on our list is packaged snack foods. We are talking about things like potato chips, pretzels, and crackers that come in a bag or a box. These are very convenient when you are feeling a little hungry between meals. But many of these snacks are not very good for us. They are often made with refined grains, which means that the good parts of the grain have been removed. They also tend to have a lot of salt and unhealthy fats. Eating a lot of these kinds of snacks can contribute to high blood pressure because of all the salt. And the unhealthy fats are not good for our hearts. Also, because they are made with refined grains, they do not give us the kind of lasting energy that whole grains do. In Okinawa, people do not really snack in the same way that we do in America. They eat their main meals and they try to eat until they are about 80% full. This is a practice they call harahachi-bu. Because they do not overeat at their meals, they are less likely to feel hungry between them. If they do have a small bite to eat, it is likely to be something natural, like a piece of fruit or a vegetable. If you are a big snacker, you do not have to give up snacking altogether, but you can choose healthier snacks. Instead of reaching for a bag of chips, you could have a handful of nuts, a piece of fruit, or some raw vegetables like carrots or celery. These snacks will give you more nutrients and will keep you feeling full for longer. It is all about making a better choice when you feel that urge to snack. Let's move on to our fifth food, white bread and other refined grains. In America, we eat a lot of bread, and most of it is white bread. We also eat a lot of other things made with white flour, like pasta and white rice. When flour is refined to make it white, the outer layer and the germ of the grain are removed. This is where most of the fiber and the vitamins are. So, what is left is mostly starch without much of the good stuff. When we eat a lot of these refined grains, it can have a similar effect on our bodies as eating sugar. Our bodies break down the starch very quickly, which can cause our blood sugar to go up. And because the fiber has been removed, these foods do not keep us feeling full for very long. The traditional Okinawan diet is quite different. For a long time, their main source of carbohydrates was not rice or bread, but the sweet potato. Sweet potatoes are a wonderful food. They are full of vitamins and fiber, and they do not cause the same kind of spike in blood sugar that refined grains do. When they do eat grains, they are more likely to be whole grains. If you eat a lot of white bread and other refined grains, you could try switching to whole grain versions. For example, you can buy whole wheat bread instead of white bread, and you can choose brown rice instead of white rice. These whole grains have more fiber, which is good for your digestion and can help you feel full. They also have more vitamins and minerals. It might take a little while to get used to the taste and texture of whole grains, but it is a change that is well worth making for your health. Number 6 on our list is fried foods. Many of us enjoy the taste of fried foods like French fries, fried chicken, and donuts. But these foods are usually cooked in a lot of oil, and the oil is often not the healthy kind. When foods are fried, they soak up a lot of this oil. which means they become very high in calories and unhealthy fats. Eating a lot of fried foods can be bad for our hearts. The unhealthy fats can contribute to the buildup of plaque in our arteries, which can lead to heart problems. Also, the high number of calories in fried foods can lead to weight gain. In Okinawa, they do not eat a lot of fried foods. When they cook, they are more likely to stir-fry, boil, or steam their food. These cooking methods do not require a lot of oil, so the food is much lower in calories and unhealthy fats. If you love fried foods, it can be hard to give them up, but you could try to have them less often, maybe as a treat once in a while instead of a regular part of your diet. You could also try healthier ways of cooking. For example, instead of frying potatoes to make French fries, you could cut them into wedges, toss them with a little bit of healthy oil, and bake them in the oven. They will still be delicious, but they will be much better for you. Next up is number 7, processed cheese. This includes things like American cheese slices, cheese spreads, and the cheese that comes in a can. These products are not really cheese in the traditional sense. They are made from a small amount of real cheese, but they also have a lot of other things added to them, like oils, salts, and artificial ingredients. Because of all these added ingredients, processed cheese is not a very healthy choice. It can be very high in sodium, which is not good for your blood pressure, and it often contains unhealthy fats. The people of Okinawa do not eat dairy products, including cheese, as part of their traditional diet. Their diet is largely plant-based. They get their calcium from other sources, like dark leafy green vegetables and tofu. If you enjoy cheese, it is better to choose real natural cheese instead of the processed kind. A small amount of real cheese can be part of a healthy diet, but be mindful of how much you eat, as it can still be high in fat and calories. And if you are looking for a non-dairy alternative, there are many options available now that are made from nuts or soy. The 8th food to avoid is commercially baked goods. This category includes things like store-bought cookies, cakes, pastries, and muffins. These treats can be very tempting, but they are often full of unhealthy ingredients. They are typically made with refined white flour, a lot of sugar, and unhealthy fats like shortening or partially hydrogenated oils. These unhealthy fats, also known as trans fats, are particularly bad for our health. They can raise our bad cholesterol levels and lower our good cholesterol levels, which is a bad combination for our hearts. The high amount of sugar in these baked goods is also a concern, for all the reasons we have already discussed. In Okinawa, sweets are not a big part of the diet. When they do have something sweet, it is usually a piece of fruit. They do not have the same culture of eating sugary desserts that we have in America. If you have a sweet tooth, it is okay to have a treat every now and then, but it is better to choose healthier options. You could try baking your own treats at home so you can control the ingredients. You can use whole wheat flour instead of white flour, and you can reduce the amount of sugar in the recipe. You can also use healthier fats like olive oil or avocado oil. Or you could simply have a piece of fresh fruit when you are craving something sweet. Fruit is naturally sweet, and it also gives you fiber and vitamins. Number 9 on our list is frozen dinners and prepackaged meals. These meals are very convenient, especially when we are busy and do not have time to cook, but many of them are not very healthy. They are often very high in sodium, which is used to preserve the food and add flavor. A single frozen dinner can sometimes have more than half of the recommended daily amount of sodium. They can also contain a lot of unhealthy fats and hidden sugars. And because they are so highly processed, they often do not have as many nutrients as a meal that you would cook from scratch using fresh ingredients. The Okinawan way of eating is all about fresh, whole foods. They cook their own meals, and they use ingredients that are in season. This way of eating ensures that they get a lot of vitamins and minerals in their diet. If you rely on frozen dinners because you are short on time, there are some things you can do. You could try to set aside some time on the weekend to cook some meals for the week ahead. You can make a big batch of soup or a healthy stir-fry, and then have the leftovers for a few days. If you do buy pre-packaged meals, be sure to read the labels carefully. Look for options that are lower in sodium and made with whole food ingredients. Let's talk about the 10th food, fast food burgers and sandwiches. Fast food is a huge part of the American diet. It is quick, it is cheap, and it is everywhere. But a typical fast food meal like a burger and fries is often very high in calories, unhealthy fats, and sodium. The meat in a fast food burger is often highly processed and high in fat, and the buns are usually made from refined white flour. Eating fast food regularly can lead to weight gain and a number of other health problems. It is just not the kind of food that our bodies are designed to eat on a regular basis. In Okinawa, there is no tradition of fast food like there is in America. Their meals are prepared at home or in local restaurants that use fresh local ingredients. Their meals are also much smaller in portion size than a typical American fast food meal. If you eat a lot of fast food, it can be a hard habit to break. But you can start by making some small changes. You could try to have fast food one less time each week, or when you do go to a fast food restaurant, you could make a healthier choice. For example, you could choose a grilled chicken sandwich instead of a fried one, and you could have a side salad instead of French fries. But the best option is to try to cook more of your own meals at home. That way you have complete control over what goes into your food. Next, we have number 11. Ice cream and other frozen dairy desserts. Ice cream is a popular treat, especially in the warmer months. But most ice cream is very high in sugar and unhealthy saturated fat. A small serving of ice cream can have a lot of calories. As we have mentioned, the traditional Okinawan diet does not include dairy products. So they do not eat ice cream. Their sweet treats are usually fruit. If you love ice cream, you do not have to banish it from your life forever. But it is best to think of it as a special treat that you have only once in a while. When you do have it, try to have a small portion. There are also some healthier alternatives to traditional ice cream. You can find frozen desserts that are made from fruit, which are often lower in calories and fat. You can also make your own ice cream at home by blending frozen bananas in a food processor. It is surprisingly creamy and delicious, and it is much healthier than regular ice cream. The 12th food on our list is highly processed snack bars. These are things like granola bars and energy bars. They are often marketed as being healthy, but many of them are not much better than candy bars. They can be full of sugar, unhealthy fats, and artificial ingredients. It is always important to read the labels on these kinds of products. Look for bars that are made with whole food ingredients like nuts, seeds, and dried fruit, and pay attention to the amount of sugar. A good rule of thumb is to choose a bar with less than 10 grams of sugar. In Okinawa, they do not have these kinds of packaged snack bars. Their snacks are whole foods. If you like the convenience of snack bars, you could try making your own at home. There are many simple recipes online for homemade granola bars. When you make them yourself, you can control the ingredients and make sure they are actually healthy. Let's move on to number 13, salad dressings and condiments. Things like ketchup, mayonnaise, and many bottled salad dressings can be surprisingly high in sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats. We often do not think about these things because we only use a small amount at a time, but if you are eating them regularly, it can all add up. A couple of tablespoons of some salad dressings can have a lot of calories and unhealthy ingredients, and ketchup is often full of high fructose corn syrup, which is a type of sugar that is not good for us. In Okinawa, they do not use these kinds of heavy, creamy dressings and condiments. They season their food with things like miso, soy sauce, and various herbs and spices. If you want to make your salads healthier, you can make your own dressing at home. It is very simple to do. You can just whisk together some olive oil, vinegar, and a little bit of salt and pepper. You can also add some herbs for extra flavor. And when it comes to other condiments, try to use them in moderation. The 14th food on our list is artificially sweetened diet foods. This includes things like diet sodas and sugar-free desserts. These products are often seen as a healthy alternative because they do not contain sugar, but the artificial sweeteners that are used in them may not be as harmless as we think. Some research suggests that these sweeteners can actually confuse our bodies. They taste sweet, but they do not provide any calories. This can affect our appetite and our cravings for sweet things. And some studies have found that people who regularly consume artificial sweeteners are not any more likely to lose weight than people who consume sugar. The Okinawan diet is all about natural whole foods. They do not eat or drink things with artificial ingredients. Instead of choosing diet foods, it is better to just have less of the real thing. For example, if you want something sweet, it is better to have a small amount of a dessert made with real sugar than to have a larger amount of a sugar-free dessert that is full of artificial ingredients. And when it comes to drinks, water and unsweetened tea are always the best choices. Finally, Our 15th and last food is excessive amounts of red meat. We already talked about processed meats, but now we are talking about fresh red meat, like beef and pork. In America, we tend to eat a lot of red meat. It is often the centerpiece of our meals. While red meat does provide some important nutrients like iron and protein, eating too much of it has been linked to some health problems. It is often high in saturated fat, which can be bad for our hearts. As we have discussed, the people of Okinawa eat very little meat. When they do eat it, it is usually pork, and it is a very small part of the meal. The vast majority of their diet is made up of plants. If you are a big meat eater, you do not have to become a vegetarian, but you might want to think about reducing the amount of red meat you eat. You could try to have smaller portions of meat, and you could try to have some meatless meals each week. You could also try to eat more fish, which is a very healthy source of protein. So there you have it, 15 American foods that you would be unlikely to find on a dinner table in Okinawa. The purpose of this was not to tell you that you can never eat these foods again, but it is about being mindful of what we are eating and making choices that will support our health in the long run. The Okinawan way of life shows us that it is possible to grow old in a healthy and vibrant way. Their diet, which is rich in vegetables and other plant foods, is a big part of that. We can all learn from their example and try to incorporate some of their healthy habits into our own lives. It is all about making small, sustainable changes. You do not have to change your entire diet overnight. You can start with 1 or 2 things and then build from there. Maybe you will decide to eat more vegetables or to drink more water instead of soda. Every little change can make a big difference. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you found this information helpful. Remember to take care of yourselves and to nourish your bodies with good food. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. I would love to have you as part of our community. And now, for a quick disclaimer. I'm not a medical doctor. The information shared in this video is based on extensive research and experience in helping people with their diets and lifestyles. It is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult with your own healthcare provider before making any significant changes to your diet or lifestyle.